Hi guys. Did you miss me? Okay, so I am going to do a garden tour of my own garden. Again, just like last year, I thought, well, I'll do the first one on my garden and then hopefully there'll be some more people who would like to volunteer to have a garden tour for their garden. So last year, if you remember, I showed you my shade garden. So this time I'm going to show you my sun garden, my front sun garden, and I think right now is a perfect time to do it because it's really full of nice beautiful color at the time. All the peonies are out and you know, peony season is quite short, so you gotta catch it when you can. So anyways, I will yeah, hopefully you like it. Hopefully this won't be too long either. But anyways, it's about 8 o'clock at night and it's fairly quiet out, so hopefully we'll have a good run. Okay, so this is my front garden. It receives sun probably up until about, I don't know, noon or so, and then it starts to slowly get shade. But anyways, there's my cute house, and the shade garden is kind of just behind there. So I put this garden in maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I believe it was, and I'm absolutely loving this garden. I'm so glad I put it in because I didn't really have a lot of sun gardens in my yard until this one, and also it actually really gave me a great chance to meet my neighbors because I really love talking with them and talking about gardening. But anyways, so I just wanted to point out a few things in my garden, and like I said, the peonies are out, so I just want to show you some gorgeous peonies. First of all, okay, this one here is called the Fawn. I'll go up close and look at her. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's not blurring of the camera, that's actually like stippling on the petals, and it's so beautiful. And look at the underside when it comes out like that. Like, how pretty is that? So yeah, so this is the first year that this peony has bloomed. Actually, quite a few in this garden has bloomed. So this is a herbaceous peony, which means it'll go and die right down to the ground every year, every winter, and I'll bloom right back. If you don't know too much about peonies, so this peony I grew from a bare root, it's called. So you can order bare roots online, and actually I recommend doing that. It's cheaper. You can find a lot more selection when you order it online, and I really think they grow at the same rate as one that if you would buy it in the store, actually probably even faster. But anyway, if you buy it bare root, what I usually do is I will pot it up in the spring, and then I'll let it grow on all season until the fall, and then I'll plant it in the fall. You plant it with a good amount of blood meal, and that is the time of the year where peony roots will grow the most and the fastest. So also whenever you're trying to grow peonies, put a nice dose of blood meal on, sorry, not blood meal, I mean bone meal, getting the two mixed up, bone meal around the roots, and that will help to stimulate growth. And obviously the more growth you have, the more flowers you'll get and the more roots. So anyways, so this is a gorgeous peony. I am in love with this one. This one is called the Fawn, if I haven't mentioned it. I'll just go around and take you to a few things that are flowering right now. This is Also, a new flower that I've had in my garden this year. It's a yellow iris, and it is just gorgeous. I am just loving this iris. I had irises before, and I wasn't really loving them, but I think I just had them in too shady of a spot. And so I got some from a friend last year, and man, they have bloomed just beautifully this year. First year. I have a lot of roses in this bed too, so that's a nice it's called a wild blue yonder, and it's I think it's a floribunda rose, and it'll bloom my multiple blooms on one stalk instead of as opposed to just one. These are my yellow lupins. They're gorgeous as well. They're in full bloom right now. This is probably the best they've ever looked. Right back here, you'll see this allium here. There's one actually behind it. This is called Christophii allium, and I highly recommend this allium. This allium isn't even out in full bloom yet. Let's see if I can get closer. It'll be a nice puffball, and on each little stem it will bloom this nice star shaped, and it's going to be like huge. It'll be a nice big puffball by the time it's done, and it lasts a long time. So I highly recommend that Christophii allium. This one here is a Ito peony. I'm trying to remember the name of this one. I can't remember. It's more of a peachy, yellowy color on it. So an Ito peony means that it's a cross between a herbaceous peony and a tree peony. So it will die back, but it will also have stems to it as well. I cut mine back maybe, I don't know, I would say like 10 inches from the ground, and it comes back healthy and blooming like this. And this is like a really healthy plant. This is one I bought in the store, so not from a bare root. But these are the first ones that I've put in this garden, so that's why they're so big. But it is so gorgeous. Let me see if I can get a closer look. Look at that in there. And it's got like that yellowy, like peachy, huge blooms on it. It's still got quite a few buds left on it too. So hopefully I'll enjoy that for another week. This gorgeous plant here is called a Sonic Bloom Weigelia bush, and you can get a variety of Weigelias. I really recommend a Weigelia bush. It comes in different sizes and colors, and it blooms like just a lot profusely in the spring, and it's nice to have that early color. This one is the biggest one I have in my garden, and I'm thinking it's still going to get a little bit bigger, but yeah, it just keeps blooming. But you don't want to cut it in the spring. You don't want to prune it in the spring, because you'll be cutting off a lot of the blooms, right? Because it won't grow much in the spring before it blooms. And then over here, some foxgloves that I started from seed last year. I try to every year spread out some seeds of foxglove seeds in my garden and in the fall, and hopefully that they'll take. It's a lot easier that way of gardening, that's for sure. I have, and foxgloves are biannual too. I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about biannuals. What happens is that, especially foxgloves is probably the most well-known biannual, but it will, like you plant it, you grow it this year, you plant it, and then it'll bloom the second year. It won't bloom the first year. Usually, most varieties will bloom only the second year. There are some that will, I believe it's the Camelot series, that will bloom the first year. It'll be like a weaker bloom, but then it will put out one more bloom. So then once it does bloom that second time, it won't bloom for you again. So you might as well just pull it out of your garden. And honestly, I would never purchase a foxglove from a garden center if it's already blooming, because it's just no good to you after that, unless you're really considering saving the seeds from it, which you're really taking a gamble, I think, on that, because I don't even know if the seeds would come true or come like produce enough seeds for you if it didn't go all season. Anyways, I'm probably not explaining that very well, but I would just always buy foxglove seeds, not the plant. That's my point. So I have a really gorgeous blue iris here. Look at those nice blooms. Somebody gave me a gorgeous plant. I really like that sort of leaf structure in the middle of my garden there too. This here is a Pinky Winky hydrangea, and I have quite a few hydrangeas in my garden, and this is probably the one that I would recommend the most. It will get big on you, but you can start to prune it up. So if you just want a higher canopy on it, it's fine. But what I like about this one is that the color will gradually go to like a cranberry color, like a burgundy color, but then it won't go brown like a lot of hydrangeas do. It is a panicle hydrangea, and it gets that pointy tip on it, as opposed to like a rounded bloom. As my neighbor. He's teasing me. And but yeah, it will bloom, like this color will stay. That's my point. The color will stay and not go brown, and I'll get huge blooms on it. And I really like that it's like got the red stems on it. This is a nice spring phlox here, if you're looking for a phlox. That has bloomed for me for at least 3 weeks now. It's really nice. Here is another peony. This is called like a wild lactiflora peony. I'll show you another one that's open in the front. Same thing, this is the first year it's bloomed for me. Here I have a white salvia. It's going to be gorgeous next to a sedum there. And this is not a lot of people are familiar with this plant. It's called a camassia, and it does come in like a few different colors. I've seen it in like a purple and a pink, I believe. This is yellow, but it is a gorgeous plant, and eventually it will get to a nice bigger clump, but it has been blooming for I don't know, a week or two now. And yeah, it starts from the bottom up, and it just will slowly bloom out, but it is gorgeous too. Camassia. Let's see. I just put in this rose, which I love. It's called Litchfield Angel. I think it comes out pink, but then it'll go to like a more of a yellowy creamy color. I'm hoping anyways, if I got the right rose. But I'm excited for that one to start blooming. That'll be a nice bush rose. This one here is one of my favorite peonies. This one just came out too. Let me get a little closer in here. Show you this bloom. It is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God. Look at that. It is so pretty. Like, that is just a true pink color. Like, there's not any variation on it. It comes out nice and full, and for a first year peony to be this nice and full is just amazing to me. I got it from Brex, I believe, as a bare root, and I think it's called Black Beauty. Whether that's actually supposed to be the name, because I've heard that's not what Black Beauty looks like. Obviously it's not black or even a deep purple. but I still am in love with this peony. This one here is a Baptisia. So this is actually my first year where it bloomed, and I didn't even know that it bloomed blue. So I'm excited about that. This has been in this garden for like 3 years, and this is the first year it's bloomed. So it's kind of reminds me of a lupin. So if you like lupins, then you'd like a Baptisia. But it is just the foliage stays really nice all summer long as well. Let me back up. This here is a Bobo hydrangea. It won't get much bigger than this. It only gets like maybe 3 or 4 feet by 3 or 4 feet, and it puts out nice white blooms. So that's a nice like medium-sized hydrangea if you're looking for one. Down here I have some penstemon. It's just starting to bloom. Let's see if I can find some. Yeah, can't really see it very well, but it's a nice pretty flower too, and it lasts a long time. Some more yellow lupins, and this is a beautiful purple iris. Look at how gorgeous that is. Oh my gosh, I love this deep color. Again, a true deep color, deep purple, no variegation in it at all. I don't know if I can get back here. This is another Ito peony that I have. It's called Berry Garcia, and it has huge, absolutely huge blooms on it. Just gorgeous. If you can see in the middle here, I have some delphiniums all popping up in here. I have a nice little patch. That's maybe about 3 plants in there, and look at how many blooms it has. So in maybe about another 2 weeks, it'll be just outstanding. I just love it. And then in the middle of that, I don't know if you can see right here, the grassy texture, I have what's called foxtail lilies in there, and they shoot up a even taller stalk than the delphiniums. They'll be coming soon as well, and mine are yellow, nice yellow, and yeah, they bloom for a long time as well. So it ends up being this, like, obviously looking like a foxtail. Nice and bushy and big. So down here, this is a dahlia that I grew from seed. This is the first year I've actually grown dahlias from seed. So I'm just really excited that it bloomed this year and so quickly as well. To have dahlias bloom this early is so nice. Really nice. And hopefully I'm going to save the tubers. Usually when you get a dahlia from seed, you'll usually just get the single petals, not the big poofy plumes. Even if you take like a seed from like a poofier dahlia, you sometimes you never know what you're going to get, right? You would have to take the actual tuber of that plant to get it to come true to what it was, not the seed. So these are a type of allium as well. I'm going to butcher this name, but they're called Carataviense allium. But they're supposed to be this small. They only have like maybe a 3 or 4 inch stalk on them. Right here, they're actually supposed to be this short. They're like so cute. They're like a nice little pom-pom. And they've been blooming for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks now. So they're really great perennial to have. And actually now they're multiplying too. This is one plant in here. I have a really nice rose right here. I'm hoping it's gonna come out and bloom in the next couple of days. It's called an Oh So Easy Italian Ice bloom, and it's very multicolored. Like it's got pinks and oranges and yellows in there. It's really a beautiful rose. I recommend that if you want a small rose, bush rose. It won't get much bigger than that. This one here, I'll tell you about too. It is an annual though. It's called a pink Lavatera that I got from a fellow gardener, and she actually grew it from seed, and she gave me one, and it shoots out these big pink blooms, and the plant is supposed to get a little bit bigger than that. I had never heard of this plant before, and I'm like, I don't know how this plant has like not more well known. Like it's supposed to be really big. I'll update you whenever I see it come into bloom. So I'm excited for that one. I have a nice like hot pink rose coming out here. That one is just absolutely stunning when it comes out, full of blooms. But then unfortunately it usually gets like black spot all over its leaves, and then it drops its petals and it maybe do another flush. So that's why I planted the Lavatera in front of it, to sort of cover up that hole that will be there. But I'm hoping it won't do that this year, but we'll see. Okay, so this plant right here, a lot of you guys might be really interested in it because there's been a lot of talk of milkweed lately. Well, this is butterfly weed, and this is similar to milkweed, where it attracts the monarch butterflies, butterfly caterpillars. Last year I actually saw a couple of monarch caterpillars on this plant. I haven't seen any yet this year. I was hoping I would. Maybe it's too early, I'm not sure. I can't remember if I saw them on there when it was blooming or not. But this is 3 plants in this area, and it'll shoot out these really gorgeous small tiny orange flowers. So if you didn't want milkweed in your garden but you want the butterfly weed, I would highly recommend this plant. It's a nice like bushier plant, but I also recommend that wherever you plant it, know where you want it to be, because I think it has such deep roots that I've tried to transplant in another area, a little seedling, and they just keep coming back. So I have a feeling it has a really deep taproot on it. I don't see it spreading out of control or anything. Like I don't see runners or anything. And like I said, this is 3 plants, so it's a nice size. And I've had this in my garden for probably, since at least 3 years now, since I put this garden in. So I highly recommend that plant. I do have a really beautiful blue phlox that's here. It's almost like an iridescent phlox. I don't know what it's called. I got it, I don't know where I got it from. I didn't buy it from like a store or anything. I got it from somebody who was just selling them or giving in them, but it will repeat after too, and it's an early spring, like it's an earlier blooming phlox too. So I'll try to get a picture of that for you when it's in full bloom, because it is amazing. Now, these are my oriental lilies here. I cannot believe how big they are. This is like, I think they're 3rd year as well. Royal Kiss and eyeliner oriental lilies, and look up especially the eyeliner lily. It is really pretty, white with a burgundy sort of margin on the edges of it, and it's really pretty. I can't believe how big these have gotten. I guess maybe they come like bigger every year. I'm really excited for that. But those should be coming out in the next couple of weeks as well. So this is that same Lactophora peony that I was telling you about. Open it up. There's like a yellow center. You can see. There's a yellow center. And it's supposed to be like a flatter, like single sort of petal. It's on the outside. I don't know if it's because it's a newer plant, that it hasn't quite, come to its own yet. Maybe I'll give it another year or whatever. I'm not loving it so far, so we'll see how it goes. If I don't love it, then I will sell it or something and find a nicer one that I like, especially because I have 2 of them now in my garden because I split it. So we'll see. This plant here you might be interested in. It's a mini hollyhock. Yes, that's right. I had no idea that there was mini hollyhocks there. But I grew it from a plant, and it sends up, this one's pink, and it sends up like a ton of pink blooms on it, and just this plant just keeps going and going and going. Probably in another few weeks it'll start to bloom, and I just love it. I might try to split it off and put more in my garden because it is a wonderful addition to the garden. These ones here, I wanted to show you. I'll show you this little group here. This one I grew from seed. They're an annual, and they're called Canterbury bells. Like, oh my gosh, look at how beautiful those are. I can't believe it. Like, they're a nice true purple, really interesting shape, and I heard they're good for in cut flowers too. So I'm excited about those ones. Like, ever gorgeous. I think Charlene was telling me that if you save the seeds and spread them out, you might get a patch growing next year. I'm gonna try that. These are my green twister echinacea in here. So those are really pretty. A really nice strong plant. I highly recommend the echinacea. This one here is my poet's wife rose. My roses this year have been really badly eaten by spider mites, I think it is. I can't believe that this one's really bad. So hopefully it doesn't affect the blooms on it. There is quite a few, but it does put out these really gorgeous, huge blooms of this lemony color, and it's got a lemon scent as well. It's so nice. I will show you pictures of that too, and it's in bloom. It is a really nice rose. Okay, I'm just going to show you another picture of this peony. Oh, I just love it. I can't even believe how much I love this peony. It is so pretty. I don't even know if I haven't even smelled it yet. No, it doesn't have much scent. That's okay. Okay, so I'll show you a little bit more in the middle here. Okay, so you see those purple blooms? They're huge. They're probably like, I'd say about 5 or 6 inches across. Unfortunately, I didn't save the tag for that one, but oh my god, it is such a beautiful, beautiful clematis. Did I say rose? I meant clematis. And look at all the buds at the top. So that is going to be wonderful. And then my wonderful neighbor gave me this new clematis too this year, and it's called Sarah Elizabeth, I believe. So it's a nice pink clematis. So I planted them together because I kind of want them to intermingle. I wish I had bigger trellises for it to keep going. But I read on one of my gardening groups that if you put worm castings at the bottom of clematis, it makes the blooms huge. And you know what? I think they're right. I can't even believe how big those blooms are. Like, I'm gonna have to see if that is true with all my clematis that I put it on, or is it just this variety? But so far, I am loving it. It is such a gorgeous, gorgeous clematis. If you'll notice down here, those are all alliums as well. They are short, they're only maybe a foot high, and they come out with these little white pom-pom, or not pom-pom, golf ball sized alliums. And do you think I can remember? Oh, graceful allium, that's what it's called. So those are kind of an addition. This was like something I planted like the first year I had my garden, and I didn't realize they would be so short, so they're kind of in there. But oh well. You'll also notice right there and right. But one annual that I grew from seed that I would recommend is actually Dusty Miller. This is the first time I've grown Dusty Miller from seed, and oh my gosh, I am loving it. It is such a beautiful plant. It's nice and it's like lacy to me. I find it really neat. And also I recommend, so this annual here is called Lysianthus. I think it's spelled Lysianthus. You should look it up. It's a pretty interesting flower. It takes a long time to germinate and a long time to grow. It's like a very slow grower. It'll come out in August with like longer, like 2.5, almost 3 feet tall, with flowers that look like a rose on them. So I really hope that these are going to bloom. I have quite a bit in my garden this year, so I'm excited for those to bloom for sure. Those will be really pretty. Every year I do try to add more lilies to my garden. You'll see some lilies here that I planted this year, and actually these ones down here are Easter lilies. So every Easter, when the Easter lilies would come out, I'd buy one, and then I'd buy from my mom, and then she would give me her bulb back and I'd plant it. So actually they are a beautiful plant, and they do come out, I think, after the other lilies bloom, and they smell wonderful too. And this one here is called like a ground lily. That's as big as it's gonna get. It's only maybe a foot high, and this is bright, it'll be bright yellow flowers on it, and it's just gorgeous. I think there was 3 bulbs that I originally had planted in a pot, and then at the end of the season I planted them in here. And I think it just keeps multiplying, so I'm excited to see how big that's going to get. I would love it if it just covered a huge area of my garden. I love lilies. Let's see. I do have another iris coming up here. I forget. Is it Siberian iris? Siberian, I think it's called, with the smaller ones, and it's a variegated iris. I can't remember the colors of this one though. It is really neat. If you can get the variegated ones, oh my god, they're so gorgeous. I don't know if you can also see this plant right here. Oh, I'm out of focus. This plant here. Anyways, that's a Eryngium. It's like a thistle. And it'll grow, like you can get like a blue ones, and I think this one's more of like a paler blue color. So that one's kind of neat. This will be, I bought it from a plant, and this will be the first year coming back. So I'm excited to see how that one grows. Um, oh, this one here, this little bush guy here, I just finished blooming. It is actually a dwarf lilac bush. So I can't remember how big it's supposed to get, but I don't think it's going to be more than like 2 feet by 2 feet. But it's just something to tuck in. It's really nice. And then I have one rose in here. This is a climber, and it's called a Lady of Shalott rose, and it's like I think it's like almost I'm gonna say mango or tangerine kind of color. So I really like that one too. I'm excited for that one to bloom. This lily here is a tree lily, it's called. If you can get some tree lilies in your yard, go for it. I just planted this spring, so it's not very big. But they can probably get as tall as I am, and I'm 5'10". So yeah, if you can get tree lilies, do it, because they're just so neat in the garden. I just love them. And they'll bloom like the biggest flowers too, even bigger than like oriental lilies too. But yeah, tree lilies, look it up, it's awesome. Okay, so these are I want to say either Gladiator or Globe Master alliums. There's 2 different ones. They're actually a thing. But they come out after all the purple sensations have come out. And it is a really big bloom. Like, this is my hand. Like, that's huge, really huge. And it's so pretty. They will start to multiply too. Like this one here comes from one bulb, and now there's 2 stalks on it. So they do start to multiply too. So this is one bulb, and there's 2 stalks on it. Over there, that's one bulb, and it's got 4 stalks on it. So isn't that amazing? Even the big ones, these bulbs are like the size of my fist. I got them at New North, and usually they try to carry a different type every year. So if you can just scoot down and get a couple every year, you definitely won't regret it. I also wanted to point out these guys here. Get a little closer. These are poppies. They are an annual poppy that I just sprinkled the seeds in my garden. Now I'm trying to remember if I did it last fall or the fall before that, but I couldn't believe it this year when I had all these like plants coming up, and I was like, oh, I don't remember all these plants, and I thought it was a weed. I'm glad I left it. And the last week they have just really grown. Like, honestly, I grew them first initially from seed under my grow lights, but this is definitely the best way to do it, because these plants are so much healthier than when I grew them from seed. I cannot believe it. I'm so excited to see all the blooms on it, because yeah, they never got this big when I grew them from seed and transplanted them. So I would just, in the fall, you know what, just start experimenting and just start putting like seeds in your garden and see what comes up in the spring, because it's definitely an easier and cheaper way of doing it. And you'll be surprised at how much will grow in your garden. Like, I have these poppies all over the garden, so I'm really excited. And then of course you can just do that again. Every year you can just add a little bit more poppies to your garden, different colors. This little guy here, it is called a creme de la creme phlox. I'm really excited about this one. I planted it 2 years ago, and I have not seen a bloom on it yet. It was more in the center of my garden, but I think it hated it in there. rebelled and just dropped all its leaves. So I think it was not getting enough air circulation in there. So yeah, yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully that'll bloom for me this year. But look up Creme de la Creme phlox. I also put in quite a few dahlias in the garden this year. So I had a terrible dahlia season last year. My blooms came out so late, and they didn't bloom very much. So I'm hoping it's going to be a lot better this year. I started them maybe 1st of April in pots, and they have done so well so far. They are heavy feeders, so when you do plant them in the ground, make sure you add a lot of manure in there because they really like that. This one here is a nice, is a dianthus that my mom gave me last year. I think it's going to be white, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen it bloom yet. So it's been, it's been ready to bloom for like a week. So I'm ready to see it come out. I think that's about it for my garden. I hope you enjoyed it. It is a lot to take in. My style of planting is, kind of find a spot and hopefully it likes it in there. But no, I like a nice full garden because I do like to see something blooming all at each stage in the garden, all from spring to fall. And it's really nice to say, oh, it's tulip season, and then it's like, peony season, and then it's lily season. I like that. So it's nice. And I think people really enjoy it too because it's always changing. Every time my neighbors come by, they're like, every week I walk by and something new is blooming in your garden. So it's kind of fun for everybody too walking by. But like I say, there's always room for another plant. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And if you have a garden, if you want your garden to be videoed, you want me to come to your garden, please don't hesitate to contact me, or somebody that you'd like to suggest, or a house that you'd like to suggest, please message me. I'd love it. You guys have a great night.